you. Bye-bye. So we can go to the next, which is Marco De Cave and Francesco Zaralli. Marco.
Good evening. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you for introduction and conference interventions.
Marco,
Yes.
can I ask you a favor? Because we have, you are a part of our team, and we have some guests as the team of the University of Thessaly. If they want to start.
Yes,
This is
no problem. No problem, as they are waiting for
you are one of our team to give a priority to the guests.
Of course.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Hello.
Okay.
I don't have a problem. Whatever you want.
Okay. So we can follow the initially scheduled program. Okay. Marco, you can start. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Clisciare. Thank you.
So we'll share the presentation then. So can you see it?
Perfect.
Yeah, great. So my intervention, so for this conference, will focus on wine tourism in Italy. So regarding internet and marketing strategies and the case of Latina Wine Route. As part of the Cultural Plus member, we work particularly on wine and rural development, particularly with the Latina Wine Route. Myself and my colleague, which is not here, but presents all the regards for this conference, we coordinate the branding and the marketing strategies of the wine route. Basically, my presentation is a sort of walk in the vineyards of the central region in Italy where we are. So we are placed 1 hour from Rome. So it's more or less 60 kilometers. This is the landscape you can see from one of the wineries. The topics of today are gastronomy and wine tourism. So I want to introduce first like the main concept and particularly why it's so important, the concept of experience and how the pandemics have supported, have somehow enhanced this concept. Then Italian wineries and internet usage. I think it will be quite useful and interesting also as a reflection, I'm sure, with other territories. The pandemic's consequences. So I want to depict a few of the data that exist at the moment, and then I'm gonna show you some of the actions we have done practically to put in practice the actual weaknesses and to put in and to work on them in a much comprehensive way. So as you can see here, we start with some yoga. So we start to reflect, and actually is one of the honors of the wineries in our wine route. I want to start with some definitions. So gastronomy and wine tourism, and regarding particularly the importance of visiting, of experiencing. So all the actions around the territories, particularly food, wine, and all the surroundings are part of these concepts, which have been actually defined by the World Tourism Organization, which is in Madrid. So this is the big picture where we are. And why discussing this concept? Because they represent an opportunity. So when we discuss traditional products, which are either part of the gastronomy or of wine or cheese making, etc., they are part of a territory in terms of material reflection and immaterial reflection. And above all, because we are in a moment where these sort of unique identities become the only attraction for tourists. And I think, you know, that's one of my declarations is that social media actually have improved, have enhanced, have supported this image, because we want to share a lifestyle, and we choose a territory because it's supporting to our lifestyle. Let's go just a bit, you know, scraping around this big picture. So we have $82 billion in 2018. I didn't count the last 3 years because they've been very different than, you know, the 18. I deliberately decided not to reflect on them, only in a thoughtful way in the third part of this presentation. As you can see, Europe is the biggest part, has the biggest share in the world market of food tourism, so 35%. And then there are the different areas of the world. So you can see North America, Asia, and the Pacific area, South America, and the Middle East. Europe is very important for the variety of foods and drinks which are available due to the long story. Let's go to the figures of tourists. 53% of travelers describe themselves as food and wine tourists. No wonder if you see on Instagram, you will see everyone sharing the perfect food dish or the wine glass taken at the sunset of some place, probably Greece, probably Spain, France, etc. So why? Because we all seek an unforgettable experience. And that's the key to analyze wine and food tourism. So this is somehow how the destination can attract. And this is not just storytelling, as we will see, but also a matter of practical arrangements in a territory. Just here with this slide, I would like to show you how the millennials have led somehow this major push in wine and food tourism regarding the search, the pursuit of the authentic interaction with the locals. But this is not just about tourists. That's the other fact. As if a territory manages to better recognize the local heritage, either immaterial or material, the locals will improve their lifestyle, their living conditions, and they will know better where they are from and what to do in terms of material improvements, so development. So we're talking about development. So gastronomy tourists, they don't only look for the perfect dish, but they look at the other elements around the dish. So how that dish was served, so the quality of service, and not just about the restaurant, but about the hotel, about the transportation, about whether that transportation was accessible, whether the roads are accessible enough. And that's the part of the experience. So it's, you know, we are discussing in one of our last meetings between the wineries, it's useless to have a perfect winery and then roads which are useless, or having low service hotels and then perfect wineries. Of course, this can be vice versa. I mean, perfect hotels and low quality wineries. So when we look for an experience, we look at the different dots, and that's the challenge we are looking for right now. And the value, so we perceive, is multi-dimensional. So it's not just about eating the good pizza, but what that good pizza is connected to. So that's why gastronomy is part of the brand and is part of the possibility of enhancement of a territory. So it's not just the ingredients, they are not just the dish, but what it's around that dish. And that's how we reach that dish. And this part, the second part of this presentation, I want to introduce a bit how the wine is connected to the Italian heritage, particularly regarding the quantities and how Italy has moved so far. So we have the largest wine production in the world, and France is following. Then we have the stimulating legislation in terms of organization of wineries with other entities, so particularly municipalities and other public authorities. In 2019, there's been the end of a participatory process of a frame law, wine and gastronomy. So that's how the picture has been sewn after different years. Then there's a national association of wine cities. So this is like a beginning of governance, but as we'll see, it's still governance is a bit rusty, let's say. Open Cellars, which is an initiative started in 1993, and we have it every year. Basically, wineries open to the territories and to the tourists. And the COVID-19, the other part of this picture, has accelerated different processes which were already, let's say, building up, which are social responsibility and sustainable conversion. So that means that almost 100% of wineries in Italy have in place environmental sustainable strategies. That means energy cut or other the usage like plastic banishment, etc., etc. Wine tourism in Italy. Let's focus, now we're on the tourists, like how the revenues are distributed. So as you can see, 26.7% of on average of the incomes of the wineries in Italy depend on tourists, which either can be local or international. Of course, last year and this year still have been very specific years. Like for instance, last year, 90% of tourists have been from Italy, just because of the restrictions of COVID. But as you can see, still 59% of tourists, so it doesn't matter where from, say that themed experiences help them choose between several destinations. So that means that wineries are not just wineries anymore. They need to create more dots around them. And to understand how the wineries move in Italy, it's important, I think, to a bit analyze their structures, because in Italy there are more than 10,000 wineries, and there are four main, let's say, approaches on wineries, which we'll see make also depend how they use internet. So the functional ones were the enology. So wine is much open to tourists. Yes, you can visit them, but you won't have that, let's say, romantic experience. Then we have the monumental ones, which are the ones designed by great architects, then the castle, villas, which are historical family palaces, for instance. And then we have the passion chests, which are the majority ones. So basically the ones which produce wine which is very specific, unique, or with indigenous types of grapes. And why is important, this sort of difference? Because we can understand how they approach internet. Even though the majority of wineries in Italy have a web page, so they have 95%, they have so that means they have websites. The quality of usage is very different. For instance, the biggest ones, the ones which make really the history of Italian winery maestry, are the best in the social media usage. And that, of course, influences how the tourists perceive them. But I think, during this moment, everyone is involved in the game. So even if you're a small winery and you have a good presentation, you're well connected, you surely have a place So it's not about the quantity, is not about the largeness of wineries, but it's about how you want to approach yourself, how you want to storytell yourself, and how you are connected to the rest of the experience in your territory. So as you can see, also COVID-19 has completely changed the panorama right now. Basically all wineries in Italy right now have an e-commerce, basically. So they have or they use different platforms out of their own e-commerce. So this is also an important part which influence how the tourism it goes. And just to dig in a bit on the pandemics, I collected I tried to put the results from the Italian wine tourism report, so to make it accessible. And the first answer to what is the turnover like right now? Well, during the pandemics, of course, no wonder there's been a loss of up to 80% in the majority of cases. Still, there's some tendency. So even though there's been a drop of tourism, there's been like by the Italians a new discover of the local heritage, not just the let's say usual or major heritage, but also the rural landscape, also all the rural culture which was somehow lost or underestimated, and this was due to pandemics, basically. So people were compelled to look around them. So I know people which, I don't know, went to Spain more often than they visited the territory around them, basically. So how the wineries see themselves for the future, they see it they see a positiveness. So that means that after uncertainty, there will be a new rise on tourism. Why? Because during the last 2 years, it seems that everything stopped, but actually it was the moment where wineries rethought their role, and they tried to really create and analyze how they connect and how they use internet. And here, putting the wind of change, we call the wine of change. Why? Because the point here is not anymore about wine, it's about what it's around it. So the adjustments were between digital and physical adjustments. So making wineries more accessible, making wineries more connected, making wineries more expressive for a wider public. And here we can confirm the positive attitude. So I'm sure this is somehow part of a wider stream of actions that were not just in Italy, but also in the rest of Europe and probably of the world. So in 10 years, we'll see the wine tourism will go up. Still, there are, to resume really like a main critical points.
Marco?
Yes. I will try to be almost done. So many critical points. It's lack of like a weak governance. Still, we have to work more on at the national level on how to govern the standards, and particularly, still in Italy we don't have a Ministry of Tourism because it was abolished by referendum. So still, we have now a technical agency, but different standards are shared by the regions. So, like for instance, Italy spends 10 times more than US in tourism, for promotion. But this is completely out of scope.
Marco, please, to be short, we are over an hour of the time.
Okay. All right, I just go to the case study then. wineroute.eu. So this was an action by Francesca and I. with the Chamber of Commerce and the local actors. So we put together 8 wineries, and we focus on the creation of e-commerce. So where the wineries and the local museums and environmental sites and so on work together to have one unique experience. So many experiences that you can choose on the website, at the same time, like and open up to millennials with many contents. As you can see, this is how it looks. So if you go on the website, you will see. And that's much of the situation, but still we have to improve the internet coverage and the fragmentation, which has been somehow part of the lack of branding of the last 20 years. And that's regards, let's say, that's not just Tuscany, but it's also Rome's region. And that's the end for me.